Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Warriors Walkoff here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us. We are brought to you by Russell and Associates, and this week we'll start off the show by talking Warriors softball with head coach Greg Jones. And Coach Jones, since the last time that we saw you, your team has been on a pretty good run, including a couple of shutouts. I think 3 shutouts in a row, kind of in the middle of a 6-game winning streak. How would you rate your team as far as how they're playing as the regular season ends and you head off to the playoffs later this week?
Well, I think, you always want to be playing your best at the end. And I don't know if we're playing our best, but I guess I'd rather be going in on a winning streak than a losing streak. And we're playing good softball. We're probably, I think maybe so far, if I had to look at the whole year, 10, 15 games ago was probably when we were playing our very best softball. But right now, I can't complain about where we're at. Our pitchers are throwing strikes. We're making plays on defense. We're getting some hits and scoring some runs. So you can't win in this league if you're not playing well. And to be able to rattle off 6 straight this week is a good way to go into the tournament for sure.
Now, since you brought it up, I kind of have to ask. I mean, the hitting has been there, the pitching has been there. You've said that. But what about these last 6 games makes you say that it's not the best softball that you've played so far this season?
I guess I don't know, other than it just seemed when we were really going well early, kind of after the Augie loss, and then we had that stretch, it just seemed like offense was coming easy to us. We were really going well up and down the order. We were hitting the ball out of the ballpark. We were scoring runs in bunches. And again, we were pitching and defending like we always have, but it just seemed like the offense was putting up really big numbers. And it's not like, again, I don't want to, you're picking at the edges when you say we won 9-0 and that's not good enough. I don't even mean it that way. It's been more of a grind offensively where we've had to really put hits together again. And the way it's supposed to be, we had that hot streak where offense really just seemed easy to us. And now we're again, like you're supposed to in this league. It's hard to score and it's hard to win. And so, but I think our hottest streak offensively was in the middle of the year there.
Okay. Since you're split with Minnesota Duluth, you've won 14 out of your last 16. The 2 losses, of course, were the Minnesota State Mankato losses. But one of the things that we really haven't talked about this season are just some of the performances that you've had. And I don't want to slight any of your teammates because we talk about Liz Potts all the time in the pitching. Who has been offensively some of the big stars for you this year?
Sam and Abby at the top have really made us go to get that kind of production out of the top of the order. That consistency has really been big for us. Carly Engelhart in the middle has been a really big add. And again, it's not like Carly wasn't around. She just, she was doing everything she was supposed to do. She was practicing hard. She was working her tail off. She's coming back from an injury over a year ago. And we just kept seeing it in practice and finally decided to make the move. And she's really never turned off the gas. She's just been going really well. So to have that, those 3 kids at near the top of the order doing what they're doing, but then just the consistent at bats that kids like Riley and Marissa have given us in the middle of the order. What's happened for us offensively was we've really been able to elongate the batting order. And, Kayla Kirkman in the 9 spot has been one of our top 3 or 4 hitters all year long. And just her ability to get on base, and Smolinski's come on late to really look good offensively for us. And she's sitting in the 8 spot. And so now you have people feeding each other in the batting order. So 8 and 9 are feeding 1 and 2 instead of 1 and 2 setting themselves up. They're doing that too, but now they're able to drive in runs. And so, to me, the lineup isn't always about who's supposed to be where, it's who feeds whom. And we've been able to feed each other offensively that way and kind of use our hot bats to produce the offense that way.
I wanted to give you a chance because although we touched on it last week and you honored your seniors last week, again, because we talked about Liz all week, the other 3 seniors that you have, including Riley Stout, who reached a milestone this week by getting over 200 hits, just the 19th Warrior in school history to reach that mark. I wanted to give you a chance to talk about the other 3 seniors that are graduating this year and talk about what they've been able to do during their Warrior career.
Oh, I really appreciate that, Justin. And I think these kids, especially those three, have had such amazing careers. And I could literally take the next hour to talk about each of them because they're so unsung. I mean, Riley's a 4-year starter. She's going to graduate top 10 in games played at Winona State. She's such a steady force behind the plate. She's a verbal leader, but she's such a quiet player behind the plate. Catchers that are quiet like that are so important. Nothing gets by her. She handles our pitching staff enormously well. She throws out base runners. I just love everything about Riley. She's such a calming force for me as a coach to have that type of leadership on the field. Ann at first base is, again, just that true team player. Ann was a Gold Glove third baseman at one point in her career. And when Libby came in, we were going to play Libby at first base and keep Ann at third. And the last week of fall ball, I just want to see it the other way. And instantly I liked it. It just looked better. And Ann looked good at first. Libby's been amazing at third. But the unselfishness of Ann to be able to do that and now play Gold Glove caliber defense at first base is just amazing. And Kayla started as a freshman almost every game, if not every game of the year as a freshman, and then didn't play much the next 2 years, and now has started almost every game as a senior. And that takes a special type of kid to be able to manage that emotionally, handle the role. And it wasn't like Kayla was good and then wasn't good and now is good again. It's just the ebb and flow, how the team was put together and how the team was functioning and what we needed and what we were seeing. And for those three kids to handle their roles is the type of leadership you really want in your program, because it's not a grab somebody by the shirt collar and yell and scream at them type of leadership. It's leadership by example of this is what being a part of a team is. Again, like a kid like Ann is a 5th-year senior and has played a lot and started almost every game. And all of a sudden this year, when Carly got hot, Ann had to sit so that Carly could DP game 1 and then play first base in game 2, because with Abby Halas pitching, things were just different. We weren't DPing for our pitcher. And Ann handled that perfectly. And now down the stretch with Abby Smith pitching, we could go back to that typical DP role, and Ann can get back on, and she's really carried a lot of that offensive load for us again. So the way they've managed the leadership role and handled being a part of something bigger than themselves is just amazing to me.
And one of the other things that we talked about last week, that now, since playoffs are here, you play on Thursday, finals have been happening, the commencement ceremony is on Friday. How has your team kind of handled all of the things that they've had to handle? We talked about the blueprint last week. How is that in reality this week?
They've really managed it well. Now we'll see what happens these next 2 days with finals. We talked to them a week ago after one of the games that life is an echo. You're going to get back what you put in, and the game is the same way. Whatever you give the game, you're going to get back. Whatever you give your studies, you're going to get back. And we just told them you've got to compartmentalize. You got to be where your feet are, and they were able to manage that. And now again, they've got 2 big days of tests coming up here. Everything's jammed into 2 days, and we'll go light on the softball side. But what they did really well was they got out ahead of things academically. They were in the classroom. They were getting good grades. They weren't struggling and trying to play catch up all the time. So they were able to manage that to get them where they are now. And now we give them 2 days to just focus on their final exams. And then we'll go back and play softball on Thursday. And the hope is it doesn't all catch up to us at one time, that we kind of get on the bus on Thursday and school's now behind you and it's postseason time. But again, I was really impressed with how well they handled it this weekend, because the weather was terrible. It was freezing cold. We're on the road. We're 6 hours away. We're missing finals. We were warming up yesterday in the snow, and we're standing on the foul line for the national anthem, getting pelted with sleet. And they went out and managed their business. And we got back a little earlier last night than we planned, which was really nice. And so I all the credit in the world to those kids for how well they've handled it thus far.
All right, you set me up pretty well then for this next question, because we're heading into the playoffs. Thursday is the beginning of the playoffs, and in some ways it's good because it's at Rochester, which is almost a home game for you because you play there quite a bit in the beginning of part of the season, although I think it's a different field. But you do have familiarity with the Rochester complex, so that kind of helps. However, as you said, the students are concentrating on studies right now and not really a whole lot on softball. And when you start the playoffs, you're playing Concordia St. Paul, which usually, if you're playing a conference team in the conference tournament, you've played them, you've seen them, you know them. For Concordia St. Paul, you guys started a game, started a doubleheader, and then weather canceled that. So you got a couple of innings in. How much does that affect how you prepare for a team and what you know about Concordia St. Paul, because you didn't really see them on the field all that much this year?
Yeah, it's really unique. Yesterday we're coming home from Moorhead and we got the pairings sent out by the league. So we were able to see the brackets for the first time. And I'm a guy that doesn't look at the standings, so I didn't know where we finished and where we were going to be. I didn't know who we were going to play. The brackets came out and I was able to see it, and I just kind of shook my head and smiled, and I thought, well, that's appropriate, I guess. So, it was one of those things when we were playing Concordia and the storm came in and it was terrible weather to start. I was glad we didn't play that day because it wasn't really going to tell us much about who was better or what kind of game it was. It was more of a battle of attrition, and then that got eliminated. But it is really unique to not know much about a team. And again, our league is so good, you just know it's going to be a good matchup, whoever we play. So we're just going to focus on ourselves and getting ourselves ready and be as good as we can be. But Concordia had a really good year, and to not know much about them is, a little tough to go into that conference tournament. But I guess the good that I'm taking away from it is twofold. One, it really allows us to focus on ourselves instead of them, which is what we want to do anyway. Let's get ourselves ready this week. And then the other thing is you don't have those preconceived notions of, well, they beat us or we split with them or we beat them. It's just, we don't know anything about them. So let's go play it and see if we can get off to a good start in the tournament.
All right. How do you feel about your team? Based on the last 6 games that you played, obviously, as we said, it's a winning streak. And there have been some changes that have happened because of injury or because of just the way that people have played in the last half of the season. How do you feel about the makeup of your team as you head towards the playoffs this year?
I like it. I really do. This whole year has been about growth. You think about some of our early games and the way it was just uncommon results for what we're used to, and to look and see where we are in the region right now and look and see where we finish in the conference. We ended up with a better record this year than last year at this point. And I never would have guessed that when this thing got started. And so again, our coaching staff, Chad and Cindy have done an amazing job getting this team ready and allowing them to grow and be patient with the process. The kids deserve all that credit for being patient and sticking with the process. Our theme all along is to be uncommon, and it has been an uncommon year, but they have stuck with it, and they've been uncommon in their preparations and their processes. And as cliche as it is for coaches to talk about it, I don't think you could ever point to a year that has been more true than this year, that we knew it was going to be about growth and about process, and we've been able to do that. And now we just get to go out and play and see where we are. And again, we're not going in to win the tournament. We're going in to win the first game and to be prepared and do the best we can. And but I do like the makeup. I like where we've been. The team chemistry is great. The culture is where it needs to be. Now it's just a matter of, can we produce on the field and do what we're capable of doing? But anybody in this tournament can win it. That's what's great about our league. It's what's great about this tournament. It's double elim. It sets up really for anybody to win it, not just the top 1, 2, 3, 4 teams. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out over the course of the weekend. But there was a point this year I wasn't sure we were going to make the top 10 and be in the tournament. And so to even be here and have a chance, I'm really excited to see where we end up.
All right. Well, I appreciate the time this week. And, in a start and stop season, you're about ready to hit the accelerator again with Thursday, Friday, Saturday games, weather permitting, of course.
Right.
So good luck in the tournament.
Thank you so much, Justin. I appreciate it.
All right. And we're going to take a break here on Warriors Walkoff. When we come back, we'll talk Warrior baseball with head coach Kyle Poock right after this.
Meet Jenny Siseski of Edina Realty. With nearly 30 years' experience, she knows that right now is the best time to sell your home. Jenny will help you get top dollar, higher than ever before. With today's low interest rates, it's time to upgrade your home and increase its value. High demand and low inventory also make this a perfect time to list your home. Call for a free market analysis. Contact Jenny Siseski at Edina Realty today, 507-458-7038.
And welcome back to Warriors Walkoff here on HBC TV 25. Time now to talk baseball with head coach Kyle Poock. And Coach Poock, thanks for joining us once again. You got 4 games in since the last time that we saw you, split both of those series. But before we actually talk about those games, I want to talk about what happened during the last home games of the season for you. You got a nice honor. The NSIC Commissioner Aaron Lind presented you with some gifts before the game, and it was a nice kind of send-off for you in your last couple of games. Can you tell us what that felt like?
Yeah, it was really good. I knew something was up, but I told him I don't need anything. I'm just, we're playing games and all that, but I knew something was up because they were asking me questions and stuff. So, but I didn't know anything until when we were getting ready to start. So it was really nice. Erin Lind from the conference offices, who I liked her. I coached basketball when she was playing for Southwest State, and she was a great player, and she's done a great job as a conference commissioner. She made her way down, so it was great to see her. I've always got a lot of respect for her. She does a great job. So it's good to see her. And then the athletic staff was also, President Olson was down. It was good to see him, and the athletic staff presented me with a few things and stuff. So it was really good, and got home and read the card, and I think they all know I'm going to be fishing, because they all mentioned something about being fishing and going catching fish and stuff. So yeah, that was really nice. It was great to have, and it was short, so we get to the game and stuff, which I like that too. So, but yeah, it was a good unexpected surprise, and I had a lot of my family was here too, so that was great.
So how hard was it then to kind of emotionally separate from that and focus in on baseball, especially since it's your last home games. And so I'm sure you have to be thinking, this is the last time I'm going to be doing this here. How was that for those games?
To be honest, once it got ready and the umpires, we had the meeting and stuff, and I came back to the dugout, it was just, hey, we got to play ball today and stuff. All the players want to say something. I said, hey, we got a job to do. If we want to play in the conference tournament, we got to start right now. We got to play, and we did a good job. We played well yesterday. We got the split. Would have liked to get the second one, but I'll give Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls is a much better team than they've been in the past, and they played well the second game and they beat us. But we were able to get the first one out from them. So.
Well, let's talk about those games. As you said, in the first game, you were able to win 5-4, and it was one that you had to come back from. Talk about the team's performance in that game.
Yeah, that was one where Nick Harold's been our ace all year long now. Once we moved him from the bullpen to starting guy, and he was good yesterday, but he wasn't as sharp. And when I talked about him, he had a little trouble getting loose, and he was stiff, and you could see that he wasn't his same fluid self. But he kept us in the game. Minimized some innings and didn't let them get out of hand, and our offense was able to do a good job and get back at first, tying it up after being down 4-0, tying it up 4-4, and then taking a lead on Cooper Kapanke's home run in the bottom of bottom fifth or sixth. And so that was exciting for the team to go and come back. We've had a couple of those comeback wins here on our field. 2 of them against Bemidji State, so that was good to get that here.
Yeah, you were down 4-0 and able to score 5 unanswered to get the win. And then in the second half of the doubleheader, the Cougars were able to win that one. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was just one that, again, I think we pitched good enough to win. Had a couple mistakes defensively that hurt us, but other than that, but we just left too many guys on base. Their pitchers did a good job of not getting out. I think Sioux Falls walked one guy all day, which if you do that pitching, you're going to stay out of big innings, and you got a pretty good chance to win. So I'll give them credit for that. But we had some chances, and we just didn't we hit the ball well all day, but it just seemed like we were hitting balls right at guys. We had quite a few balls in the gaps in center field, right and left center, and their center fielder ran them down, made some good plays. And sometimes that works out that way. but we played better. So I encourage that. And again, they're a team that's ahead of us in the standings. So we played well against them.
Yeah, and I know that you talked all season about offensive struggles, but Joshua Hawksford right now is swinging a hot bat. He's got a 9-game hitting streak.
Yep. He's really doing well. I think he's listening to what we're trying to do, and what we're trying to get. As I tell my hitters, you all can hit when you get to this level, but it's now how you're going to hit between your ears. And he's doing a really good job listening and working at it and putting some good at bats together.
Now, you did have some time in between games because earlier last week you played Wayne State on the road and got a split there. Can you tell us a little bit about the series against Wayne State?
Yeah, that was a good one. That's one, Wayne's always been a good program in our league. So to go to Wayne and get a split, you'll take that in. I think anybody in the league will say they'll take that because it's a travel. It's out in the middle of nowhere. They got a really nice field, but to get a split with them was a good day for us. It kept us in the hunt. So we're sitting okay yet for the conference tournament, I believe. So that was key to get that split there. Again, we pitched good enough both games. Our pitching. I mean, sometimes you look at our earned run average and it's deceiving, but our pitching lately has been good enough to keep us in every game.
And your bullpen has been doing a pretty good job, especially when you have to battle back and you're able to hold those leads. I'm kind of thinking about the second game against Wayne State, where again, it was a comeback. You win 6-3 and your bullpen shuts the door. Yeah,
exactly. Our bullpen with Caleb Strack, Peter Tweedy, and Justin Furpo, Zach Watska, and John Bresky, and those guys in the bullpen have done a good job for us all year long. And they know that when they go in, it's usually going to be 25, 30 pitches at most. So they give us their all, and we can go to the next guy. Caleb Strack has really stepped up as a guy for us that we can use. And, when our starter goes short, we can bring him in because he can go 30, he can go 40, 50 pitches and be able to be ready in a couple days. The other guys, you got to give a little bit more rest to. But yeah, they've been working hard and they've been doing a great job.
Now, I know that you're not a scoreboard watcher, you're not a standings watcher, but I mean, it is kind of important at this point in the season because you have 3 games remaining. Some teams have 5 games remaining, so that kind of makes things interesting because it's the conference the conference record win percentage that determines who is the top 8 that goes into the playoffs. And because of that, right now you're number 7. But you're in such a situation where if you take care of business against Concordia St. Paul, you're going to be in the playoffs. So, I mean, how much scoreboard watching do you think there will be, or that as you head into this last series against Concordia St. Paul?
Well, again, like I said, I'll be concentrating on what we're doing as a team. My assistant coach, because he's into social media and follows all that stuff. Well, I don't do any of that stuff, so he'll probably be paying attention to it up in Concordia St. Paul, and I'm sure the parents and dads are there. They're all watching because I had like 3 dads like, oh, we're okay. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. So, like I said, my goal is just to make sure we're playing well, and if we do our job and work hard and play and get a couple of wins, we'll be okay. We'll get in.
So it's a 3-game series against Concordia St. Paul. How are you health-wise heading into that series, and how do you set things up knowing that the conference tournament is kind of in the background there?
Yeah, well, we're sitting pretty good. Our lineup that we've been running out the last 2 weeks, they're all healthy. Nick Herbst, our left fielder, leadoff guy, he's a little banged up knee, but he's got a couple days to get some therapy and treatment with our athletic training people who are awesome. And so he'll get some work with them. Pitching wise, we should be good. We got our 3 guys. Kyle Gendron will go game 1. Dylan Whitaker and then Bailey Banazinski. They're all really competitive. But our bullpen, because of how we used them yesterday, they should all be good to go on that too. So if we can get a lead and get to the bullpens, we should be good. It's just a matter of getting executed when we get guys on base and scoring some runs.
All right, before we started talking today, we were kind of talking about the weather because it's starting to get nice now as the season is going to an end. But how important is it that maybe you're going to be able to get a little bit more practice time here, actually out on a field instead of in a gym somewhere, and actually maybe get some swings, get some outfield work, infield work? How important is it that now the weather is turning so that you'll be able to get outside?
Well, it's really not, especially this year, because we haven't had it, like we've talked about, not a lot of time on our field. But it looks like the weather today and tomorrow, we should have good for now. It's final, so we're not going to practice till later in the day, 5 o'clock. And so, but we should be, everybody should be here at that time so we can get some good workout. We'll get some really good rounds of BP, work on that. Get a lot of live ball. At this point in the season, you want just as many live balls off the bat for defense and stuff. We can work on some defensive plays and situations a little bit, but we're pretty simple when it comes to that stuff. We just do basic stuff. We're not real fancy, but it's basically getting to see the balls off the bat live, infielders fielding the ground balls, outfielders getting the ball up in the air and reading them. And especially now with the weather's nicer, we're going to probably get some clear skies and stuff. So you got to work with the sun and that. And so it'll be key to be able to be out there 2 full days here and get good workouts in.
We've got a couple of minutes left in this segment. And so I know we talked kind of generally about the season and generally about some of the games that have happened over the year. But in your estimation, who are maybe some surprises or maybe some players that have stood out this season that maybe you're going to be relying on as we get towards the end of the season in the conference tournament?
Well, you mentioned Joshua Hawksford, him stepping in because he was going to be he's a shortstop, really. But like I tell people all the time, I don't recruit second basemen. We recruit shortstops and we make them a second baseman, which we had our first guy, Jess Ondell, then he gets hurt. And then Kyle Yu, who was at that, and he got hurt. So now we had to move Josh over there. So, but he's playing well. We got Austin Byer, the other kid's playing shortstop, is doing well. He's going to be a leader. We started him off lower in the order. Now he's hitting in the 3-hole. Moved a couple guys around too. Carter Brinkman's been swinging a good bat lately, hitting 4th for us. So keep on him going. And if we can get Dean Weiland and Derek Baumgartner, our upperclassmen catchers who catch in DH, if they can get going a little bit here, they've both struggled the last week here. Had some good at bats, but they can be better. And if we can get them, we should be fine. Again, our pitching is set up pretty good. That if we get in the conference tournament, we used Nick Harold yesterday, so he's ready now. If we get the conference tournament, he'll go game 1. And so we're sitting pretty good right now, as long as we don't get anybody hurt now, because we're basically down 3 position guys. And so we're basically running with 12 position guys. So if we get any more hurt, it might be a situation it might be a little bit tougher, but we'll be able to get there. We talk all the time. If you're not playing and when you get a chance, step up. That's why you're here. You practice every day. You get your chance and run with it.
I have to say that answer hurts just a little bit as a former second baseman. But why do you look to convert shortstop into second base? I know that it's basically the same as middle infield. You're just kind of on a different side. But what's the reasoning behind that?
Basically, at our level, we need the more athletic guys all across the infield, not to say again, and they have stronger arms. And so, honestly, high school, and I was a high school coach, my worst infielder was always my second baseman because he was, weaker arm and stuff. So yeah, that's just a philosophy I had for a long, long time. We've always run with that, and it's worked for us. Every one of our second basemen the last how many years has always been a shortstop in high school. So it's just worked out really well, and we get a little bit more athletic guy over there. It's just my philosophy. I know other places do it different, but that's the way I've done it for how many years. So.
All right, very good. Well, good luck. You got Concordia St. Paul coming up this week. Final 3 games of the regular season. And as I said earlier, you take care of business, get a couple wins there. You're in the NSIC tournament. So good luck at Concordia.
All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for watching Warriors Walkoff here on HBC TV 25. We'll see you next week.